Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy and I am delighted this week to be joined once again by a friend and very special guest of the pod. It's our, what did we decide before? Resident of the pod.
Resident.
Regs, how are you, mate?
Hello all. I'm back. I'm like a rash. I just keep coming around every day.
It's all about that content, and you are the man for content, Regs. And Resident, by the way, wasn't anything weird. It's guest resident. Was that what we decided?
Guest and resident. We did a
smush.
A amalgamation there of those two, and I'm happy.
A smushy thing. That's the technical term for it.
I got a T-shirt in the mail. That's gonna be great.
How are you? What have you been up to, buddy? It's been a while.
It has, yeah. When it was Dial of Destiny, which I still dig. I still really dig.
Have you seen it since?
I saw it again at the cinema after we recorded.
Did you?
Yeah, because it was playing at the Astor, and I had a night to kill, and I was in the city anyway. I'm like, fuck it.
You love the Astor. Every time I tune into your podcast, by the way, Film Addicts podcast, go check it out, guys. It will be linked below. Every time I plug you.
Thank you.
That sounds weird. Every time I check out your podcast, you're always talking about the Astor, and I just have to go. I'm gonna have to come and go down with you one time, and that sounds even weirder. Where are all these innuendos coming from today?
Oh my god! Well, I mean, Plug You sounded like you're a gangster from the 1940s, and that just sounds like there's cunnilingus going on or whatever.
It's 2023.
Why not? I am at the Astor a lot. It's my church. It's my place of peace. It's my spiritual home. It's the best cinema in Melbourne. It's a legacy theatre. It's got old seats. I was there the other night watching Moon Age Daydream, the David Bowie doco. It's sort of a doco, sort of like an art house picture, and they did it as a double bill with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I currently have a poster of right there.
Well, I can't see it. It's just very slightly off camera, but it's nice to know.
Yes, yeah, and that was great. Yeah, it's just such a great place. I love it so much.
Well, how about this then? Next time I go down to Melbourne and have a bit of time, we should check something out at the Astor.
Absolutely.
Next time you come up to Sydney, you should come with us to the Ritz, which is in Richmond, which is a fantastic little older cinema. It's one of those that has the smell of popcorn embedded into the walls.
Yes.
So it's a good old school cinema, right?
Love it. Yeah, I'll be up there in at the end of November. Middle of November.
Oh, perfect. That should be okay. Let's lock some time in so you can come and record.
Talking about, it'll be the week of the 16th, and we'll figure it out.
Guys, if you want to hear us banter about our week, feel free to stick around. If not, you can jump around. There's going to be time codes in the description, which, as always, well, I say as always, when he's involved, are shared by friend of the show and editing master, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissry.fm.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sharing his details at the end of the podcast, so stick around and wait for it. If you're looking for a podcast editor, please stick around. However, if you are going to stick around and you like what you're hearing, do you think they should give us a 5 stars, Rick?
Just drop it. Just drop a 5-star. It actually takes less time to do that than do a 1-star. It just takes you a microsecond less. So just do it. And
if you're going to be closing it regardless, you might as well give us that 5-star because you're already in the app. You can do it all in app, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify. It's all there. We love it when you do. Thank you. We really do appreciate it. Reeks, what have you been up to?
Stuff and things, like I said, went to the Astor, saw those pictures.
Things and stuff.
Very, very good. Yes, things and stuff. Busy run up to, like I was saying to you before, beginning of October, which is, the frightening season, which is awesome. I love Halloween.
Not because of tax time.
I fucking hate tax time. It sucks balls, man. I have to my taxes.
I got destroyed. Yeah, I did mine. I did mine the other day, and I am terrified of how little money I have. I was like, I thought I gave you lots of money, but no, apparently I didn't. Not enough.
Every year it changes so much. I'm like, someone's fucking making a like someone's swimming in a Scrooge McDuck style pool of gold coins that I worked for. You bunch of charlatans. But anyway.
And if anyone listening doesn't know the Scrooge McDuck reference, I'm not going to tell you to go away and listen and check it out. I'm just going to say this podcast might not be for you. Especially what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's a good point. That marks me at a very particular age, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, fuck taxes, and fuck that guy, and fuck that duck.
Wow. Well, there's all the innuendos today.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it? But coming up to the end of the year, I take some time off to work on internal stuff, our own projects and
nice.
At the studio, and I've got a screenplay that's currently with a producer, and we're trying to get some funding for that and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to a bit of downtime. What about you? What are you doing?
What? Well, let's don't flip to me yet. Can you tell us anything about the script you're working on? That's what I want to hear about.
Yes. Well, it's it's a love story. It's about two men who do a podcast occasionally together. One of them's a Reza guest. What am I again? What am I again?
A Gresident.
I said a Reza guest. That's fucking ridiculous.
That's the worst kind of smush. You completely ruined that.
Yeah, that's fucked. And one of them has innuendo and the other one's got glasses. No. Yeah, it's something I've been working on for about 2 years. And I found a producer who's also someone I've kind of cast as one of the roles. And he's a writer and a producer and a playwright. And we're just trying to get this thing into shape so that someone will give me some money to go and shoot it in rural Victoria.
Give me your fucking money.
Yeah, and it's a road movie about a young deaf girl and her father, and they travel across country looking for a better life after her mother and young brother pass away in a car accident, and they sort of
That's very interesting. I would have assumed with you it would have been more comedic.
There's other stuff. I'm currently working on a screenplay with my writing partner Grant Carter from the Carter Show, and we're working on like a buddy comedy kind of thing, and I've finished a screenplay based on the comic book character The Phantom with another writing partner, my friend Ben.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I jump all around.
Oh, that's such a crazy comic.
The Phantom.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, man. It's old as shit. Well, you know The Phantom.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. Tell me more. Is it just
right.
Is it just loosely based on it, or is it like a direct?
It's a direct sort of adaptation of the story. So it tells the origin in the prologue, and then it cuts to the current, what we understand as the current Kit Walker, who's the current Phantom. And some people find out that he is he's not the ghost who walks
on a podcast.
Yeah. And that's the end. No, and there's this whole sort of conspiracy thing of like, the bloodlines between them and the Sang pirates, who are the sort of main bad guys. And it very much, the way that I described it when I was sort of pitching it was it's like Batman, like the Christopher Nolan Batman pictures, but mixed with Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Good. So it's got the capes and the things and the whatever, but then you got big high adventure and pirates on the seven seas and all that stuff. And the first draft of it was 188 pages long. It was like, fuck me.
Jesus.
Yeah, right? There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I don't want to read that. I'll probably never give you it back. Don't ask me to check any of the stuff for you, because I only read when I'm on a beach. Our listeners will know this. I will only ever read if I'm... It's not beach necessarily, but it's like in the sun. If I've got time to sit out in the sunshine, myself, my own headspace. I don't read in bed. That's not me. I'm not that guy who'll like curl up in bed with a nice book. That's just not who I am. And but like, if you gave it to me, it would take me like 65 years to read. So yeah, no, don't give me that. That's
fine. I don't have that kind of time left. I'm sorry.
You need to get moving.
Years is I'd be 107 or something. Yeah, but no, that's okay. You're not. Sometimes people need to be on the beach to read. It's like people who can only poop at home. There's all sorts.
Speaking of pooping up, speaking of reading, I'm actually doing I'm actually semi-rereading. I've read most of it. I think I've talked about it before on a podcast, but I managed to buy it's a tome. It's a big-ass book, and it is all of Jason Aaron's run on Thor. So nice. You may have seen, and this is actually quite a nice tie-in to me featuring on another podcast which just came out this week. Oh. It actually ties into Thor: Love and Thunder, which utilized Gore the God Butcher as its main villain, and it had Jane Foster as the mighty Thor as well. It's a huge old tome, and I've been getting into that because I'd read the majority of it, but I don't think I'd read all of the comics. So I'm getting into that, and it's epic. It's so cool. The artwork's amazing. It's really fantastic. And as I just mentioned, plug. I recorded it. I think I recorded it 4 months ago, but I was on the Cinephiles podcast with co-host Perry, who's an absolute legend, had me on to talk about a movie which I really don't like, much like today, the thing we're going to be talking about, ironically. Yeah, so it was one of those things whereby it was sort of like open invitation, pick a comic book thing to talk about. Superhero cinephiles, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a bit like, I'm going to do this dumb thing and let's make fun of a movie. And then I sat down to rewatch Thor: Love and Thunder. And it was a chore.
It is tough. It's a tough one.
Good, really good graphic novel though. Like amazing. Like seriously, such a fantastic set of comics. Great artwork. It's beautiful. I don't know if you've got to see any of them or read any of them.
I haven't read his Thor. I really like Jason Aaron. He did an awesome, like a 12-issue run on Punisher recently, where Frank became sort of this a killer god, and he was running the hand and shit, and it was dope.
Ooh.
Really, really cool. King of Killers, I think it was called.
You'll have to share that. I'll check it out.
It's really good, and the artwork's fantastic. I think it might even be the same dude who did some stuff on that Thor run.
Oh, right. Nice. Amazing.
It's kind of like painted.
Fantastic combination. Yeah. What else have you been up to, buddy? What's been happening?
Yeah, just regular everyday life, dealing with 3 kittens. Well, they're not kittens anymore. They're fucking full-grown cats.
Tigers by the sounds of them.
Yeah, one of them's a fucking beast, man. Paul the cat is...
It's called Paul.
Yeah, it's Paul. It's Pawl.
Paul.
Yeah.
Man, look at you with bringing the puns out.
Paul McCartney.
Dreadful.
That's terrible, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Absolutely
it's
dreadful.
horrible. One of them's named after Superman. His name's Clark.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Can he fly? I wouldn't try throwing him.
Sometimes he jumps off the banister at heights that he's not prepared for, and no one else is either. Like he should have been called Indy because he just dives into danger. God bless him.
And hates snakes.
I don't think he would like a snake if you ran into one. I don't know if he hates them just yet. He doesn't have any idea of what they are. But yeah, and my fiance, who's the stage manager for the Australian Ballet, just opened a show. They're doing Swan Lake, which is a pretty big deal.
Oh, amazing.
And I went and saw it the other night with my sister-in-law, and man, I love the ballet. I love it. It's, to tell a story in music and movement is with no dialogue or anything is really, really interesting. If you don't like ballet, that's cool. But if you don't like ballet because you think you won't like ballet, just go and check it out, man. It is incredible. These guys are just incredible. The athletes, the buns. We're talking about buns, mate. These things are ready. It is
rock solid.
It's unbelievable. You could crack walnuts on them, and that's not why I go, but
or between them.
It's a perk. Yeah, do it between. Yeah,
they're perky. Good. That's good to know.
But yeah, really, really amazing. Really great show.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I've never been to the ballet myself. I've done a lot of like stage shows, theatre. So growing up, my parents loved stage show theatre, like especially in London. And I think if you can name like a show, I've probably seen it. Everything, Oliver Katz, you name it. I've done it all. And I think that's part of the reason why now I don't love them, because I was like kind of forced to as a kid. And when you're like, I'm a soppy kid, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, no, I just don't care. Don't care.
That's totally fair. Sometimes you age out of shit too. You just stop.
Saying that though,
whatever.
My parents took me to see Bruce Springsteen when I was very young. We're talking at like 12, and I, did the same thing. Put my bottom lip out. Oh, I don't like this. This is your thing, not mine. Why am I here? Now, like, I would pay so much money to see Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah,
like,
man.
So much monies.
He's the boss.
Take all my monies. Scrooge McDuck. Remember that guy? That's the type of monies I'd pay to see Bruce
Take my silo filled with gold coins. I want to see Bruce Springsteen. Actually, he was in, me and Em went and saw the documentary Ego the other night. It's about Michael Kadinsky, the head of Mushroom Records. There's a guy who ran that company, and he was a touring agent, and he passed away sadly a couple of years ago, and they made this documentary about him. The landscape of Australian music is very different without him, especially in Melbourne.
Right.
And yeah, he was the first person to bring Springsteen out here. That is a huge concert at Hanging Rock, and Springsteen played for 3 fucking hours.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right?
That's very Springsteen, though. Apparently, he just loves to play. He gets into it, and he just goes and goes and goes and goes.
And he had Tom Morello with him, the guitarist from Rage Against the Machine.
Really?
I know, right? That was like, what the fuck is Tom Morello doing?
Now, that's random.
Yeah. At Hanging Rock, no less. Like, the most haunted place ever.
Of all places, yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Oh, man. Well, we've been up to some random stuff this week as well. Like, actually, I say we. My partner has not indulged me in this at all. She just goes out of the room every time I try and sit down to watch it. But I've watched a few episodes of the One Piece live action TV show. I don't know if you've heard about this. Or...
So I've seen it. I've actually been watching Hill House because we're doing an episode on it for the Filmmates podcast in October, and it keeps coming up, the One Piece. What is the One Piece? When people say One Piece, I think bathing suits. Yeah,
that's literally it. Yeah, it's just a One Piece bathing suit, and they're all trying to find the One Piece bathing suit, Reeks.
Is that really it?
No.
Oh, damn.
The premise is a bit random. It's set in this weirdly hyper stylized world. It's anime and manga, and there is a pirate king who is effectively it's all set on the high seas and all that stuff. And the pirate king effectively is about to be executed. This is the first scene, so I'm not ruining anything. And he sort of says to like the watching public, he's like, I've hidden a one piece of treasure out there somewhere that will make you rich, famous, and the pirate king. Don't give up on the pirates. Go and, because they're trying to stamp out pirates, obviously. Go and find the One Piece. And like the kind of point of the show is it's this little kid with sort of Stretch Armstrong powers who is trying to find the One Piece. And it, like part of me thinks it's quite like adorable. Like they're all really giving it 100% in ways that maybe I didn't think they did in the likes of like Cowboy Bebop. I just don't find it. I just don't connect with it when they try to remake anime on screen,
I don't think it works.
It just doesn't have the same something.
It has none of the intent and none of the energy, because it's such a specific thing.
Absolutely. It's such an interesting energy when you watch anime. Like I grew up, I don't know about you, I grew up with like Dragon Ball Z. And I'm
a bit old for that one. I think it was a little bit after my time.
Okay, right. But I would sit and watch episodes and upon episodes of them just powering up. That's all they did for like 4 episodes. Then they'd do one thing and you'd go, all right, now they'll have a fight for like 30 seconds and they start powering up again. But like it's the energy and the dynamics of the characters. It works really well. But then when you see it on screen, it's like, nah, that doesn't work at all.
Yeah. It's I remember because when I was younger I watched heaps of it, but it was all like the 90s and 80s stuff, like Wicked City and Akira and Ninja Scroll, Gunsmith Cats, all that kind of shit, and I dig it a lot. But then
it all sounds made up, every single one.
They don't sound like real things. What is it?
Gunsmith Cats.
Gunsmith Cats is awesome. It's like young, like these female private detectives, and they drive a Shelby GT Cobra. Very, very cool. Battle Angel Alita was amazing film. And then
I actually missed out on a lot of this. I've heard Akira is amazing. I've still never seen it.
Yeah, Akira's that was what broke ground, like really, especially in the West. That was, hang on, this is something that we should be paying attention to.
Well, that's referenced in everything. Every movie made by any cool director references that anime.
I saw it in Nope recently. The female character in that did it. Sorry, I don't know if it was she identifies as a female, but there was a character who I thought was female. Does a slide on the motorcycle
on the motorbike.
It's almost ripped from that exact shot. From that very famous anime.
So many things. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that at some point. But hasn't Taika Waititi for years been talking about like remaking it?
It's like there's no reason to do it. I don't understand what the benefit of that. It's the same as Ghost in the Shell. Like, why is making that an live action picture? How does that benefit anybody apart from studios? Like, that story is perfect.
Studio executives make money.
Not when you cast. Well, not when you miscast it.
Scarlett Johansson.
Like, and it's not that Scarlett Johansson's a bad actress. It's just like it's inaccurate to what the story should be.
Well, I think they changed that very subtly in the actual movie itself. It's like she had the mind of a character or something like that. It was like they twisted it so it made sense, big quotation marks, for Scarlett Johansson to be that character. But man, like, just you don't have to remake everything. Not everything has to be an IP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these are the worlds we live in. And that was before so much so now you can't turn around without bumping into IP. I think I'm IP now. Someone's remaking me as we speak. Regs 2.
And probably a better version without glasses.
Thanks. Fuck you and fuck you. Younger, that's for sure.
Yeah. Younger, faster, stronger. I know, man. Jesus, we're all feeling it. But speaking of Regan, you know what we do now?
What do we do?
We talk about things that you may or may not have heard in the media. So we call it news, but it's not really news. It's things we find kind of on Instagram, and we say it's news, but it's not. It's a bit of fun to talk about. So did you hear this week, Regs? We're talking about things from the 90s and 80s. The Crow reboot is back in the news, and I've actually been talking about this on this podcast since pretty much we started. I've vividly remember talking about The Crow way back at the start of this podcast, which I would say go back and listen to, but the early episodes, the quality's not great. It's way better at this point in the podcast. It's way better when we're talking shit and enjoying newer things. Have you heard about this? Have you seen The Crow? Do you know anything about?
Oh my goodness, have I seen The Crow? I fucking love The Crow, man. It is
the most emo movie.
It's yeah, I mean, if you read the book as well, like James O'Barr's graphic novel is really, it's not emo. Like he wrote it as a way to process the death of his girlfriend, and it's really intense.
Yeah.
And that movie is fucking pitch perfect. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's really practical. It's really well made. Brandon Lee's performance in it is outstanding. It's such a shame that, it's the same as Heath. Like they were on the cusp of being, something, especially Brandon, because no one saw that coming. Like his dad was a great performer, but Bruce Lee wasn't a good actor. Yeah. Brandon Lee was a legitimately good actor.
Right.
And it was directed by Australian-Egyptian director Alex Proyas, whose early work I really love. I did say earlier because some of his newer stuff I don't like so much. And he's very, very heavily into AI at the moment, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
But yeah, he also directed Dark City. Which is a baller follow up to that. It's a good double bill that night, I'll tell you that much.
There you go. Well, it's very interesting that this is back in the news because current producer Sam Pressman is claiming that it is an anti-Marvel movie. Now, if anything was going to be an anti-Marvel movie, a remake of The Crow is most definitely going to be it. And I think Jason Momoa has been attached for a long time.
He was supposed to, but they've got makeup tests that you'd find online of that, and it just fell through. And now it's one of the Skarsgårds.
Oh, is it?
It's Bill.
The Skarsgårds would be so good in this.
It's the one who played Pennywise.
Generically, any of them, they're very interchangeable, even the adults.
I think you could tell the difference between Stellan Skarsgård and Alexander Skarsgård, who played fucking Tarzan, for crying out loud. That guy's got abs where there aren't abs. Like he's got abs where his genitals are normally. Like he's got 19 abs. Ridiculous.
Did you see the Northman? That's all I could think of.
That's an amazing film. Oh, what a great movie.
Yeah, we were talking about this just a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Like me and DL, we somehow, I don't know how we did it, we managed to convince our partners to come see that movie with us. And they hated every second.
Why?
We were like, this is great. And they were like, this is awful.
It's very specific and it doesn't really...
and intense.
Yeah, it doesn't hold your hand much either. It just gets into it.
No.
Yeah.
It throws you as headfirst as you could possibly be. But you're right about Brandon Lee, by the way, going back to that. I think, the original Crow was so pitch perfect and he was such a perfect pick for it. Remaking this, you almost have to be careful about who you choose and stylistically how you portray it. Because, for example, you look at the recent remake of, the RoboCop movie, for example, they really dumbed it down for, a PG-13 audience. Really dumbed it down. And you took the soul out of that movie. A lot of The Crow is violent, and it is meant to be.
Yeah.
Like you say, going back to the graphic novels, it's supposed to be like that. So, but if you took that out of it, is it really The Crow?
Yeah, if you lose the aesthetic that the original, so you don't have to do the same thing, but if you lose the aesthetic of that and the comic setup, if you take the gothic horror part of it away, that's 50% of it.
Yeah, literally. It is that. It is very Antil Marvel? Anti-Marvel.
It's Uncle Marvel.
If anything was Antil Marvel.
Uncle Marvel is that guy at the Christmas lunch who will not stop talking about Thor: Love and
Drinking.
Thunder.
Yeah, talking. Sorry.
Will not stop drinking. Nonsense. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm keen for it because I like that character and I like that actor and everything. But it can never be what it was. That movie is a stitch in time.
Yeah, for sure. So I watched a thing actually recently, and I talk about this YouTube channel quite a lot on the podcast. Do you know the YouTube channel Nerdstalgic?
You've mentioned them before, yeah.
It's very cool, and it's kind of, in a way, some of the cues that I aspire to take with my YouTube activities. But they just did one recently about the fake Bruce Lees that sprung up when Bruce Lee died.
So many.
It is fascinating. There were 3 main ones, but a whole cast of and they were all called Bruce Lee, but with a name spelt differently. It was
slightly different, yeah.
So interesting, and this fake Bruce Lee Hollywood kind of appeared. Fascinating, really interesting. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Did you hear this week, Reeks, that Gen V is in the news again. Now, Gen V, we've talked about this in the podcast before. It is a spin-off to the show The Boys, and they have a brand new trailer out. Have you seen it? What are your initial reactions?
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, you were talking about it the other day, and I didn't know what you were talking about.
Good start.
Yeah, that's great. I really like The Boys. We did an episode on The Boys at the end of when the season 3 finished on Filmatics podcast, because me and Addy both love it. But I wasn't familiar with what this is. This is like, I asked you if it was a prequel, and you didn't fucking answer me. So tell me now.
I did answer you. It's a spin-off.
Oh, right.
It's a spin-off, and it's effectively about a fucked up high school full of supers. So the idea is that, like, if you can imagine almost like an X-Men type high school, but, you know, clearly the leadership isn't as well-mannered or well-intended as Professor Xavier is. There's always stuff going on in the background. It's still it's still run by the wrong people. I guess it's like, I'm going to make a really, really bad joke here, but like, who needs guns when you've got these superheroes? Yep. It's going to be messed up. Yeah,
I think it'll be the same thing that it is for the Justice League or whatever. The same way that it apes the Justice League, this is going to ape X-Men in a huge way. And possible. I don't know if that. Yeah. I'm totally keen to watch it and everything. I just don't know if it works, because when you've got characters who are adults and they go to an orgy where it's the superheroes fucking each other and there's a guy with tentacle penises and all that stuff, or if you open your season 3 with a miniature guy running up someone's urethra and then sneezing and exploding the guy, if you do that with teenagers, it's a very, very different vibe, you know?
Oh, yeah. You got to tone that shit down a lot.
Yeah, because it's kids. Kids.
It still looks pretty bloody. It still looks pretty violent. I think it's going to be a fun show. That's coming out pretty soon. I think that's mid-October-ish. I'll have to check that out. But I'm excited for that. Like, I think The Boys is. I think we've talked about it in the podcast. It's one of my top shows for a long time in terms of its intensity. It just has a real, like, it's almost like an honest show. Like, it has an honesty to it that you don't get with a lot of superhero stuff, and it's like, and it just takes it to 11, man.
Yeah, no prisoners kind of TV, which is the best kind.
100%. When's season 3 of that coming out? I wonder if has the writers' strike affected that as well?
It'll be season 4 of The Boys. I think.
Season 4.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't remember. I remember seeing something about that. I think it might have been finished. I think it was shot. But the problem you're having now is that if you're in the SAG-AFTRA, whatever it is, SAG, you can't promote stuff, and you know, if something opens, you have to promote it. If these guys can't go out and do the red carpets and, you know, all that, whatever it is for, you know, Amazon TV, it's gonna hurt the people watching it.
Totally. And we talked about this recently. Like, so for example, Dune 2 has been pushed way, way, way back, almost a year because of exactly that. And it's funny that the studios are realizing how much the actors do above and beyond, and yet still aren't, you know, willing to come to the table. That's a fucked up shit show, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's with the writers as well. It's like, you need to know if you're a greengrocer and no, hear me out. If you're a greengrocer,
I like where this is going.
Yeah, and you start, like, the bananas stop turning up.
yeah.
It's gonna hurt everybody. Like, I know you want to get a fair price for your bananas. Absolutely. Everybody needs the potassium, but you need to also respect the banana for giving you the potassium that it has.
The producer of the banana. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of the bananas as entities themselves, but you are right. You got to respect the farmer who the banana, if the farmer in this case is the actor and the banana is his abilities. That's sort of what I mean. But yeah, it's
you and me have got very different perspectives on this analogy. I like the analogy, but I'm kind of different. I was thinking the writers are the farmer and the bananas are the actors.
Actually, that's probably the better way to go. No, that makes much more sense. I kind of hurt myself reaching for that joke.
Great analogy. Slightly misplaced. Love it, though.
Thanks.
Very quickly then, moving on. Speaking of things that have been hurt by not necessarily the actors' strike, but certainly, you know, changes in the background. Did you see this week, Regs? There was the Aquaman 2 trailer, and there have been reactions. I'd love to know what you think of it.
You want to talk about people remaking anime? This is a cartoon. It's 100% a cartoon.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and I don't just mean that because 99.9 at infinitum% of it is probably CG, but, you know, like, In James Wan we trust. Like, he put together a decent picture, the first time round. I'm not really that interested, myself, because I've kind of checked out from that stuff. But I don't also think injecting a fucking baby into the proceedings is really the move. Like, name me a movie sequel in which having a child now appear has made it better.
Oh, I can think of one, and it's one that we may talk about at some point, and that was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Okay, yep, the short round clause, we'll call that.
Saying,
that is the short round
clause. The only one that worked. Well, speaking of Aqua Baby, good point bringing that up, because there is a very useful Twitter account at the moment called My Time to Shine Hello, and they're reporting that people have actually been walking out of test screenings. Now,
wow,
the reasoning's a little bit fluffy. People are reporting on different things. People are saying it could be because of the quality of the movie. Could also be because that apparently Aqua Baby dies in this. So nobody wants to see a baby of any Aqua variety dying in a movie, right?
They kill a baby. That's got some balls, at least.
Yeah, well, in the comics, I believe he dies at the hands of Black Manta, so that could be a direct retelling of that story. But do you not think Aqua Baby as a thing just kind of sounds like an abomination? It sounds fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, half. He's a half Atlantean, half human, and I'm assuming, what's her name? Mira?
Oh, Amber Heard.
Amber Heard's character, who is almost absent from that trailer, and I think we know why.
Yeah, she's being replaced by Johnny Depp.
Yeah, no, she did a poo on Aquaman's bed, and his seaweed bed, and he was perturbed, to say the least. Yeah, if it's that, then yes, it is a full-on alien Atlantean fish baby. Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm into that in any way, shape, or form. But apparently, it is not going to connect in any way to the Flash movie, and nor should anything ever. I don't want to talk about the Flash movie ever again. Unless you want to talk about it, in which case I'd happily do that.
No, I've moved on.
Yeah, we've all moved on from the Flash. Final bit of news from the week then is, have you heard that Loki Season 2's premiere has actually been moved forward? Now, I know you've moved on a little bit from, the Marvel movies and general superhero. You got a bit of fatigue going on there. I can hear that in your camera.
The Flash that did it too. That was fucking, that was critical mass.
I feel like Loki's a thing that could save a little bit of my love for these shows and movies, but it's now coming out on October 5th, which I'm incredibly excited about. It's probably...
That's soon, shit.
Yeah, the only one of those Marvel TV shows I'm really excited for, like overly excited for. Like none of the upcoming movies I've got like stars in my eyes for the upcoming ones. But there has been a persistent rumor that Henry Cavill was going to make an appearance in this. Speaking of Short Round, actually, he's also in this TV show.
Yeah, Ki-Ho Kwan, yeah.
Yeah, what a legend. But however, Henry Cavill has apparently debunked the rumors, and he says he's not appearing, which probably means he is.
Yeah, if Marvel's track record's anything to go by, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Steve Sadak from the We Hate Movies podcast suggested that he play Gladiator, who is the big purple guy with the fucking mohawk from X-Men. He's like one of the Shi'ar alien dudes. That'd be pretty cool. He could play the Hyperion.
That's I think the one people are saying he could play Hyperion. I'd love to see him as anything. I just want to see him in that world. You know what I'd actually really like to see is James Gunn's take on him as a Marvel hero. So, that fucked up sort of like backwards, but yet full of heart character. Just give it all to James Gunn. Let him do it all like the way DC did. That's what I wanted.
I think probably James Gunn and Henry Cavill might not be speaking because one of them fired the other one. And then all this, it was like Henry Cavill's at the end of Black Adam, and then or Adam Black or whatever it is, and then he's like, I'm coming back, whatever. 2 weeks later, James Gunn takes over and goes, no, I'm gonna do my own thing, and just
probably not. I've already cast
be a bit tense. That's a tense Christmas conversation.
I would suggest, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, like have you read Kingdom Come, the DC comic?
Absolutely, I have. I got the original single issues when they came out in 1995.
Aging our podcast once again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think they'll probably look to do something like that in the future. Like more than like I would think that's got to be down the line for this DC universe. Like Gal Gadot's too good. People love Ben Affleck for some reason, and Henry Cavill is, too beloved. surely that's a thing they've got one eye on going, if we're doing Elseworld stories like the Joker, like, the rest of it, like the Batman, surely that's going to be in the time frame somewhere.
There's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of opportunity for that. And most of those people will come back, especially if you fucking get Zack on board again.
Oh, well, do you want, for that story, it's like a Zack Snyder story, like pre-written. You know what I mean? Like, it's already there.
The only thing would happen was everybody would say fuck a couple of times, and that's it.
I thought you were just going to say, like, they'd hand in the script and they'd go, fuck!
Yeah, well, there's that too as well. But Zack's doing some interesting shit in his own. The Rebel Moon trailer came out.
Rebel Moon trailer, yeah, we talked about it.
That looks pretty baller.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm keen. I like Zack. I think, I appreciate anybody who's their own lensman.
First name terms, I like that, by the way. You're just like, Zack, me and Zack, baby. He's my bestie.
I have done...
We're great. We're the best.
Me and Addy have a running joke on the Film Addicts podcast that for the amount of fucking free press we've done for Rebel Moon, because Addy, one of the characters he does on the show is Baby Blood Axe, and there's a character called Blood Axe in that. We should be on first name terms with Mr. Snyder, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely should be, and I'd love to hear his rendition of Baby Blood Axe sometime.
I think he does.
Bring it on the pod.
Actually, most recent episode, which hasn't dropped just yet, we talk about La La Land, but at the start of it, there's a little bit of a back and forth with Baby Blood Axe and Blood Axe the dad and Mum and all that stuff.
Brilliant. So I love a podcast that creates characters every now and again. I have the odd one here and there. We should. I need to bring that back. I've not done that in a long time. You can create any character you want, Riggs. Bring some new characters to the podcast.
Oh, I'll start. Don't open that door. Fucking hell. You won't see me ever again. I'll just appear as different people all the time.
Brilliant. Look, what we need to do now is move on swiftly. So if you guys have heard anything we haven't talked about, please feel free to send it. We love it when you send us stuff. Send us memes. Send us whatever you like. You can do that at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We also have a website. I put that together a while ago. Check it out. It got more and more of our content on there. I was thinking about asking Addy if he had some free time, if he wanted to put some of his fabulous writings on there as well. We have an area for blogs. That would be fantastic. That is www.podcastassemble.com. Our contact details are on there too if you really want to get them. Riggs, do you want to preface our main topic for the week?
I do. It's a shit heap. It's
well, let's not
Mortal
tell people
Kombat.
how we feel about it just yet.
Yeah, true. Okay, it is a film in the loosest sense of the word called Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and it came out in the year of our Lord 1995. Is that correct?
7, I believe. 1997.
I think the OG.
I think 95 was the original one. Yeah. And this is in retaliation. I'm going to say this is in response to Mortal Kombat 1 coming out. So there is a reboot of the PlayStation, the video game franchise, which has been running forever. I think there were 3 games out by the time this movie dropped. And we're doing this for SEO, basically. We didn't do this because we want to watch this goddamn movie. We did it because we want your views and your listens. Come and listen to us.
Hang on a second. No. I ain't got a dog in the race. This ain't my show. I watched it because you asked me to. All right? That's dedication.
Well, look, if you really want some dedication, I paid $5 to rent this absolute shithouse of a movie, and I will never forgive myself.
I found it. I'm not going to tell you how I found it because it
it was illegal, wasn't it?
No, I didn't like download it or anything like that. It was just on this streaming site. I don't know if that's what that's called. Maybe cut that part out.
Well, I vividly remember renting this as a youth as well. So Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I remember vividly, and I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and I remember renting this. So I have more than once given money paid money to watch this film, which makes me so upset. But let's start then. Do you have a stupid plot summary for this movie?
I have 2, actually.
2? Hit me up.
Well, just before I get I like that you get upset that you paid for it twice. That's hysterical. It was on Netflix for a while, and then they dropped it. This is even too bad for Netflix.
Jesus.
But stupid plot summary. Here's one for you. Traditionally Asian character replaced from the original film somehow by an even whiter actor. And the second one, which I thought was a little bit funny as well. Consider a film that has the self-confidence to shout its name before the opening credits.
That's me.
Amazing.
That's literally me. Can you do the Mortal Kombat theme tune?
Ding, 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 ding. Is that it? I don't know if that's right.
Mortal Kombat! Yeah, we've done this before.
It's insane. That it works. That band never has to work again.
We actually did an episode on the original version of this. The reason why we're doing Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation is because we actually did, as one of our first 50, I believe, episodes, we actually talked about the first one before Mortal Kombat 2021 came out.
Yeah.
So this is following on from that one in the spirit of rebootuations and love. But I do have a stupid plot summary myself, and let me see what you think of this, Riggs. Daddy Issues, the movie. A son tries to take over all the realms just to get some affection from his gaslighting father.
That's so true, because it's Raiden's dad as well. That's fucked up. That's
They're both
true.
getting gaslighted by this old geezer.
Yours wins. Yeah, he's a super dick.
He's a
Raiden's dad.
douchebag, right? I don't know why he's such a douchebag to his children, but he needs to get some. He needs some parenting skills.
Yeah, and he looks like he smells like cigarettes too. Like, a dad thing. Black coffee and cigarettes, this guy. But I mean, it's one of these things, and just before we get into the actual meat of it, I just want to talk on the thing that kind of came up for me.
Yeah.
This is one of those film sequels to a film that was like half decent, B grade, whatever, but then got a sequel that was like less quality as opposed to more quality. Like sometimes you get a sequel and the budget goes up, or the prestige goes up or whatever. You get new actors come in, like when, Mickey Rourke and came into Iron Man 2 and Absolutely. He was very hot at the time and all that kind of stuff. Or Ben Kingsley. I'm just thinking about Iron Man as a
bad film
beta test. But yeah, so that sometimes happens. But then sometimes you get these movies that are kind of like almost cult that get these weird sequels. Like, for instance, there's a sequel to Kindergarten Cop.
Really?
With Dolph Lundgren in it. There's a sequel to Time Cop.
With Dolph Lundgren in it.
What's his name? Jason Scott Lee, who played Bruce Lee in The Dragon.
Okay.
American Psycho, Cruel Intentions, From Dusk Till Dawn had like half a dozen. Carlito's Way got a sequel. Son of the Mask is the sequel to The Mask. The Anaconda movies. Roadhouse had a sequel. Hollow Man and The Crow as well. Like these B movies that get C movies,
One question for you is, how many of them have porn parodies? I bet more than you could possibly imagine.
Well, Hollow Man is probably one that does. I guarantee it. That's nearly porno from Dusk Till Dawn. There's all sorts of bosoms
From Dusk Till
in that.
Porn, yes, that is certainly one.
From Dusk Till Porn.
Got to be one. Has to be.
So good.
All right, then guess for me, as we're giving it shit before we've even started talking about it, can you guess for me the current IMDb score for this movie?
It has to be below. It's out of 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it's out of 10.
Out of 10. It's got to be below 2. Like, this is hot garbage.
Well, it's 3.6, so there are clearly some apologists for whatever this is.
Yeah.
Guess me then the Rotten Tomatoes score as a percentage.
38.
Oh, you've been really, really, really generous.
Oh,
it's
really?
4%.
Oh, my God.
This might be one of the worst Rotten Tomatoes rated movies we've ever done on this podcast. Finally, then, guess me the Letterboxd score, which is a value out of 5.
Yeah, 1.2.
Ah, not bad. 1.5.
I think I might have looked at it on
user scores. Yeah,
and I used Letterboxd to log this. But yeah, there you go, folks. That's everything you need to know.
Round 1, fight.
And this is not a returning director, Paul W.S. Anderson. Now, interestingly, having directed the first movie, he decided to go off and he chose to do what I would say is a significantly better movie in Event Horizon, which scared the piss out of me as a child. Probably shouldn't have watched it at the age I was at. And interestingly, a nice bit of trivia for you before we get to Truffles Trivia is that the reason he stayed so close to the Resident Evil movies, he has a hand in all of those pieces of crap, is because he regrets not taking part in the direction of this movie because it was so bad. So he feels like it's tarnished his original movie. But we do get a delightful director of the name of John R. Leonetti, who has nothing else on his IMDb page at all. Barely even a producer. So, yeah. Talking of the film, though, all of your favorites are back. I mean, Liu Kang's back. two of them, two of your favorite actors are back. Basically, we had Liu Kang return, and that was it. Liu Kang and Katana. The only two characters to return from the first movie. Everyone else is replaced, which is great.
It would be the equivalent of if, instead of guesting on the show, I just started being on it instead of DL and we didn't explain. You know what I mean?
So you mean in a few years' time when Dre gets sick of doing it and we just tag you in?
Oh, well, when he inevitably reaches fame and fortune and all that stuff, I'm right in the pocket, you know, I'm already ready to go.
I've just got a feeling DL's got like an app that he's building in the background and he hasn't told anyone, and he'll drop it and become a millionaire and just sail off into the sunset. That's what I expect from DL one day.
It helps you find the perfect carrot or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you scan all the carrots in the shop and it's like, this is the best one, and boom, that's it. He's a bazillion, gillion, squillionaire, like the guy who invented dice.
The best carrot. Explain to me the best carrot. Like flavor in terms of
all
shape.
That. I don't know. Ask DL. He's the one who made the app. I've got nothing to do with it. All right. I just go by
it
what they
also
look
scans
like.
your facial recognition to see what you think of it.
What kind of carrots does this person like? Exactly.
This is such a weird conversation. DL, please don't leave us just yet. You can join us. Riggs.
Bring your carrots.
All right. We do have some really big swings in this, and I was going to wait till performances, but like I kind of love the fact that they went for like a bunch of weird characters. Now we'll probably get into performances a little bit more, but like Shao Kahn's in this, Nightwolf's in this, Motoro's in this, Shiva's in this, Baraka's in this, bloody I think it's Shinnok's in this, who's Raiden's and Shao Kahn's dad. Like, they didn't hold back, right? Like, yeah, they changed everyone, but they at least didn't hold back.
Yeah, man, if you've got Cyrax and Sector and fucking, what's the other one, Smokes in there, Rain gets fucking roundhouse kicked into a pit of fire at the very beginning for not killing somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's all your faves, and some you didn't even know were your faves yet.
Exactly. You know what? Tell me what the plot is of this movie, because literally I'm excited to talk about it.
Sure. Well, I would say that it's another person from a dark dimension has decided to completely give up on Mortal Kombat as a tournament and just fuck everybody up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be full spoilers, by the way, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so much so that the dimensions are now folding in on each other, and Outworld is becoming our world, which is,
absolutely.
would be frightening if this movie had stakes. But it doesn't. All it's got is fucking anal beads underneath the ground that you get in and stuff. It's ridiculous.
What is that about?
I have no idea. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yeah, so that'd be my idea.
There's so much nonsense in this.
Oh, and people turn into animals.
Oh yeah, they do. That's a big part of this movie. Don't forget the animalities.
Super important.
My favorite thing of this movie, and I'm skipping way to the end, and I'm sorry to do this straight away, but I have to get this out because it's just too funny. My favorite bit of this whole movie is that you were talking about them breaking the rules, and they're merging the realms, and they're skipping the Mortal Kombat, and the punishment for doing all this at the very end of the movie is to do a Mortal Kombat.
yeah, that's right.
And literally, I was sat there and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, you have to say it at least once in the movie, so
it's part of the contract, yeah.
Yeah, they take your Mortal Kombat card away. It's just weird, like there's that whole remix, like fat remix at the end too. Yeah, I just don't know why, like,
and then they all go it's the bomb.
It is. I mean, it's the best thing about this movie. I kind of like the Sub-Zero, who's Sub-Zero's fucking second cousin or something.
Brother
actually.
or something. Yeah.
That him and the Scorpion fight, that was sort of the most interesting. But apparently, the actor who plays Liu Kang, it was supposed Robin something or other, Robin Shu, I think it is. Yep. Was also the fight choreographer, and he couldn't be there that day because he was off filming stuff as Liu Kang, and that fight got choreographed without him, and he was not happy with it.
Interesting. One of the interesting points of this is Ray Park, who you'll know well as Darth Maul from Star Wars. Is first appearance in a film, I believe. So I mean, and it's very obvious it's him because he swaps in and out with James Remar, who is Raiden in this. So that's the third face Raiden has. And it's very obvious. Like, they don't even try and cut away so you don't see it's Ray Park.
And he doesn't even do, like, I mean, James Remar, I mean, Warriors is awesome. He was pretty good as Dexter's dad.
Great in Sex and the City.
Yeah. But he's not a super talented actor or anything. He's not even trying to do the Christopher Lambert, like,
So
I'm Raiden. Like that kind of voice thing, you know?
My one point about this movie was, like, you know it's bad when by the end of it you're wishing that Christopher Lambert was still in it. Like, that's how bad this movie is.
What's wrong with Christopher Lambert?
Nothing. I was genuinely saying that I think this movie would be better with him in. He had that weird, like, quirkiness in the last one. He had, like, a little catchphrase. Can't 100% remember what the catchphrase was, but, like, he was always saying it. He was great in this, whereas I feel like James Remar was just kind of James Remar.
He's also got this weird thing, was like at the end, not at the end, but he goes, "Oh, you must be Jax," and Jax is like, "Yeah, what's up, motherfucker," or whatever, like he says, you know. And he's got the robo arms, and he's like, "Oh, you don't need robot arms, you know, you just need to be self-confident." Well, fuck you, like I'm not going into war.
You can
like,
literally shoot lightning.
Yeah, take the M16 off the soldier before he runs after the Taliban, you idiot.
I don't think so. That was his catchphrase. I knew it. It was
That's
back in
right.
my mind.
I don't think so.
We'll get to let's hang off performances just for one moment. This was rushed into production after the success of the first movie. The first movie apparently did really well. Can you honestly believe this literally had a 50% higher budget? So the first one was $20 million. This was created for $30 million. And it looks like absolute trash. Where did the budget go?
Yeah, right. I can't imagine. I mean, the opening scene, like, because it dovetails with the first film.
Yeah, it literally is supposed to start directly after.
Yeah, right. And you're like, what? And it's on the worst blue screen. Like, I have seen blue screen done better by people who have iMovie. Like, it is, and I know it was 1997, but I'm sorry, 1997 is only is 4 years after Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was going to say. 4 years. One of the best movies of all time, even in terms of its CGI. Like, what? Why? What is this?
It's Mortal Kombat. There's money here. There should be.
Well, I wonder if a lot of the budget went on the rights to the game, because it was hot shit back then. It was real hot property. So perhaps a lot of it went on that and trying to get, the likenesses and such. But I do have a question for you. Now, this isn't specific to this movie. This is just a general. And I know the answer, but like, I want to know, like, it's kind of rhetorical, but I'd like to know what you think. Why is it always Earth? What's so special about Earth that make people want to take it over? Like, the Dark Realm didn't look that bad. It was a little bit dark and stuff, but like, like, you can have fun there. I'm sure you can do fun things in that realm.
Yeah, you could probably like smoke and you can get alcohol after 3 a.m. and all sorts of really cool shit. Probably
bars never close there.
Yeah, bars never close. There you go. I don't know. I mean, if M. Night Shyamalan were to have you believe, it's because we have water.
Well, that's not a terrible idea. But I mean, they have plenty of lightning in the Dark Realm. So you assume water as well, maybe? I don't know. Does the thunder and lightning go together?
I don't think water, if anything, they shouldn't have anything to do with each other because they don't mix well. I get it mixed up as well. In Signs, the aliens didn't like water. And the question was, what the fuck did they come to a planet which is, 60% water for, or whatever the hell we are? Nonsense. But yeah, I can't tell you. Maybe it's because of our podcasters.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they're going to try and get us next time. We'll have to have one of those shitty tattoos so we can travel between realms.
Yeah, what the fuck is that nonsense?
Let's get into performances then. Like, what?
Can we?
Yeah, like, I think talking about performances is almost as painful as watching some of them. I was thinking about how, like I say, I'm glad they took some big swings, like, looking at some of these characters, Motaro, to me, like, that actor wouldn't have looked out of place in, like, The Wolf of Wall Street. He looked like he was literally doing cocaine off Shiva's posterior when they started the filming. He had the slick back hair. He had the look about him. It was...
Have you seen that guy's IMDb photo?
Oh, it's fantastic. He was almost the goofy IMDb picture. Right. I haven't done it for a little while. I've been holding off for a really good one. But do you know who he is?
He's Fabio's stunt double. Like, I don't know who he is. No. Is he a person of interest?
Well, not necessarily, but I talked about a show we watched, me and the partner watched very recently on the podcast, and it was called Muscles and Mayhem. So it is like a docudrama. No, it's a documentary, but like it's kind of dramatized as well a little bit about like the beginnings of American gladiators. Now, I don't know how much of that you've ever watched.
Oh, fuck, mate. Don't even worry about it. I watched
Yeah,
the
you're
shit
in.
out of that show.
Yeah. So he's actually in that. He was one of the originals. He was Malibu, which was, you can guess, right? Put some long hair on Motaro and you've got Malibu. That's the IMDb picture. Darren McBee. Great name, by the way.
Fucking Malibu.
Yeah,
Oh.
he was that character. But that show is really interesting because like the first season was just all filmed in a warehouse and they were just doing it on like concrete floors.
Yeah.
Everyone was constantly getting injured and it was like, oh, guys,
We need to up the
sort
stakes.
your shit
here,
out. Yeah. But like I say, like I'm glad they took big swings with some of these. Like it's quite clear that like Shiva, she's like the female forearm. She's like the female Goro, right? She's got forearms.
Sure.
But it's interesting because she's almost like a Chekhov's Shiva. Like you expect her to have something, a big part, because you keep seeing her and she keeps looking menacing. And then she runs in and they clearly didn't have the budget, so they just like squish her within like 15 seconds.
Yeah, right. I mean, it looked half decent, that effect of the double arms.
For the 15 seconds she was in it. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, because the Mortal Kombat 3 had come out at this point, I remember 2 really well because that was huge. But I think I might have aged out by the time 3 had come out. But it's like it was ripping all the characters in there, and there was so many of them that they can be really vicious with them. Like I said, roundhouse kicking Rain into a fucking fire pit or whatever at the beginning of the first act.
Doesn't he hit him with a big hammer? I'm sure he hits him with a big hammer.
That sounds about Mortal Kombat-y, yeah.
So the basic overview of this then is Shao Kahn wants to take over Earth because, people want to do that. And he has an assortment of heroes who are trying effectively to kidnap Kitana because she is somehow, for some reason, the key. Her mother is back from the dead. I didn't know her mother was dead in the first place, but good, she's back. Nice for everyone involved. I got to be honest with you, when I'm talking about the performances of this, like, it was really distracting because no one was the same. Johnny Cage, who was in the first movie, he dies within the first 15 seconds. But he looks completely different. He's just a generically handsome dude. I was like, who the fuck is this? Where's Johnny gone?
It's because Lyndon Ashby didn't want to come back. He was like, no, thank you. I'm going to go and do cocaine. And he did. He did a lot of cocaine.
It was the 90s, and he probably had a great time.
Oh, I bet he did, yeah. I'm
interested to know about, you said you quite liked the Scorpion and Sub-Zero stuff in this.
I just think that out of, like, all of the stuff, that's I'm trying to be fair and be like, there's something, because I don't like being negative about stuff. I'm only doing it now because it's funny. But if you like this movie, that's great. I hope it's your favorite movie. But I just, that's probably the most well executed or the most interesting thing to look at, like where he builds the ice bridge and then they fight on it and it breaks, and it's sort of, there's some dynamics to it that are interesting. It's all shot like,
it looks like plastic.
Yeah, it's shot like someone's done it on a fucking iPhone or whatever. Like it's just one or two setups. There's nothing dynamic about the camera choreography.
Well, it's interesting. I'm skipping ahead a bit here, but like the cinematography and like the world building this is obviously New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who's anything in the geek sphere will know they made the Lord of the Rings films not long after this. How do you go from making this to making the Lord of the Rings? Like, what the fuck? Like, everything in this, every shot feels so cramped and so small. I felt claustrophobic watching this film. I was like, if they're not in some weird dark temple, even when they're in the desert, it feels like you're like this close to the person, so you feel like you're like claustrophobic.
It's because if you turn the camera either left or right, even like half an inch, you see all these crew and all this stuff because the sets were obviously like really tiny. And that's a great example of that. We made a joke about it before, but there's these like American Gladiator looking, funnily enough, spheres that you get in, like two people get in. And it's fucking sex equipment. Like they're just going through the earth with these gimbal things, and then they've got to go through all these different, because the Earth's hollow apparently, in the air.
Of course it is.
The thrust of air. Yeah, exactly.
From the core,
thrust of air propels these things around the globe, and that's how you get from one place to another. Is that to do with the
game? Like those rolly ball things? Were they like in any of the games? Yeah, I don't think they were.
I don't remember, anal beads being in Mortal Kombat 3. But it's that kind of thing of like the smallness of that, like the way you can get away with having a scene within just here, this part. Like that's absolutely on purpose.
Now, you know what's interesting? I decided to look up New Line Cinema's back catalogue, and there's some serious stuff in there, right? Listen to some of these. Austin Powers, Blade, Rush Hour, obviously The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. The less we talk about, the better, but at least it's, a big movie with a good with a good budget. The Conjuring universe, Shazam. Like, these are big movies that have happened from this, and some of them around this time as well.
Blade was 2 years after this.
I'm pretty sure Austin Powers was as well, and Lord of the Rings was 2001. So, like,
yeah,
what?
Right.
How do you go from this to them? Like, help me understand, Riggs, please. I'm begging you.
Look, it has to be. It's good. You know, you talk about budget, and they got more money and stuff like that, but it has to be a case of too many cooks, too many people saying we need this, and we also have to have this, and then this has got to happen, and then you've got to have this, and we've got to set that up, and it has to relate to the game, and they're just throwing money at all these problems until it everything gets so spread thing. It's like what's his name, Ian Holm in
Scrooge McDuck's back. He's throwing money around.
Yeah, no, it's like Ian Holm says in Lord of the Rings. You know, Bilbo is like, I'm like butter scraped over too much bread. That's what this is. They just had no clear idea of what they want to do, so they just did everything.
But at least the costume designer tried. That is all I'm going to say. I feel like they tried real hard with some of these costumes. They looked like trash, but they tried.
Pretty accurate to the game, as far as I understand. Yeah. I mean, and what a horse half man should look like, I guess. I don't know. I think it's been done better elsewhere.
It's definitely before the likes of like Bryan Singer came in with like the X-Men and made everything black leather. This is them going, what do fans want to see? Some creepy producers like, what do fans want to see? Let's get an Asian lady in a really tight little green outfit.
Let's have Sonya Blade in a white t-shirt that we will later cover in mud, because there is an actual mud wrestling fight in this fucking movie.
We see what you're doing here, pervy producers. I feel like there's a pervy producer in the background. He's like, how can we make this really disgusting?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just like, maybe they could fight in some mud. I don't know. I don't know why Kermit's producing this, but
that's definitely his assistant who rocks up as well. And there's the guy who's like, this is like, I will make it happen.
Oh, everybody was on set that fucking day. I'm just without a doubt.
That's why it was such a tight shot.
Yeah.
But like, I think if you talk about action anyway, so we might as well jump into that.
Round 2, fight.
Some of the fighting, like, you can tell that Liu Kang, you said his name a moment ago, it's Robin Shou. You can tell that some of it's fairly proficient in this one. Like, compared to the first, I thought, like, don't get me wrong, it's absolute nonsense in a bit where Ray Park's doing spin kicks towards a guy who's also doing spin kicks, and they're just missing each other. Very Star Wars. I feel like that's nonsense, but some of it's pretty good. Like, that fight in the mud is actually not terribly choreographed. Like, it's interesting to watch. It's just a shame pervy producer man was in the background going, oh, yes, let's get the mud.
Yeah, I mean, that fight didn't need to be in the mud. It could have been on a rock. You know, could have been up somewhere on a rock.
On the rock. On Dwayne Johnson, just in the middle of his head.
Just having a fight on that guy's absolute cavern of baldness that he has, yeah.
It would be hard, though, because the camera would constantly be reflecting the light.
That's right. Ping! It's too much.
Blinded.
I mean, Robin Shou is a good martial artist and a good fight choreographer. He's not a very good actor, and that's okay. No. Not everybody is. But the problem I had was that there's so many slow-mo shots of people falling down, like including him a lot.
It's always James Remar. He gets kicked through walls about every 15 to 30 minutes in this film. And it's a long film.
Yeah. A lot of breakaway, brick walls and things like that next to the mud pits.
Yeah. He must have got really good at doing that, because James Remar, seriously, he got kicked through so many. I'd love to have like a compilation of James Remar getting kicked through walls.
Have you ever seen the film Rounders with Matt Damon and Edward Norton?
No.
It's about like underground poker playing. It's actually a really fucking great movie if you get a chance to watch it.
Not the game Rounders you play that's a bit like baseball but with a tiny little bat.
A smaller bat, no.
Yes, no, not about that. Not Matt Damon with a tiny little bat in his hand.
Hey man.
Whack!
He did that golf picture, whatever. Was it Legend of Bag of Ants?
Oh, I've never seen that. Anyway, go on.
Don't worry about it. You can't watch it anymore. Will Smith's in it. Can't do it. No, it's this movie Rounders, and in the film, John Malkovich plays like a Russian gangster who owns one of these clubs, and he's like the main antagonist, and he's got the really thick accent kind of thing, and he's always eating Oreos. And I remember watching it one time, going, I wonder how many fucking Oreos John Malkovich had to eat during production of this film, because he's eating them in every scene. I would love to ask James Remar, hey James, How many times, just as a rough number, did you actually get kicked through the ship? I want to know how many breakaway doors and windows
or Ray
and
Park.
whatever.
It's probably Ray Park, to be honest. Like, he probably, his stuntman did it in the end. But yeah, like, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
The interesting thing about that is, like, we joked about Johnny Cage getting murdered at the beginning of this. He literally has his neck snapped. And as part of that, you kind of get that, oh my God, people can die in this universe. And then Raiden kind of dies at the end. And you're like, holy shit, it's a new thing. And then all of a sudden, like, the old gods are just like, we shall bring you back, Raiden. But then you go like, is Johnny just over there on the floor still? why did you bring him back as well?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he's a human, I guess. But yeah, Raiden comes back as fucking Raiden the Shaved. Like, he's got shorter hair and that's it, and a tank top.
Your haircut does not change the fact that you are not the one from the last movie, James Remar. We noticed this. Bad James Remar.
You have a different face.
You have a different catchphrase. What's happening here?
You're not some sort of weird French hybrid, whatever's going on with Christopher Lambert. I don't know who he is. He was like born here but lived over there. And...
Apparently he learned English while on the set of Highlander.
We
talked about it in one of our... I want to do Highlander 2 and DL does not want to talk about that movie, but I am. It's going to happen.
Don't worry about it. I mean, just give me a call. I'm ready. I can Highlander 2 all day.
I guess, but the one thing that really, really got me about this film, and like, it's not long. I mean, I joked before, it's a long film, but like, it's a long film because it just fucking drags. All this movie is it's a flick from one action scene to another action scene. I'm not sure how they made it so boring.
That's why, because there's no stakes, there's no thread. Like, it's just true. Kind of, here's a fight scene. But I guess that's what the game's like, so.
Yeah, I mean, there is a story to the games, but I've never really played one for the story. I can't say that. I guess one thing that really takes me out of it as well is the CGI. Like, you joked about that green screen before, but like, they're doing flips, and I get it. Okay, they're doing flips, but they're doing flips with the sky as the background, which is badly like composed in any way, with like really, really shitty, like, I don't know, PS2 style lightning bolts. And like, you're like, what is happening here? You've got a beautiful temple behind you that looks like they may have filmed it in Thailand. I think they may have done. Like, just film a flip with the temple in the background. Like,
yeah, right. You don't need all the bells and whistles if that's what the budget's being spent on.
What do they think we want to see?
Yeah.
You don't need that. It's just, anyway. So a big part of this, and you joked about it before, was the animalities, right? So Liu Kang has to find his animality. But guess what? Shao Kahn has also found his animality. That's bad CGI.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, Jurassic Park came out like 4 years before this.
Yeah.
You have money. I don't know why this looks like Spawn. It is... And Spawn had money too. What the fuck? I can't. I was so bewildered by how bad it was. You can do better shit like this with. It would have been better if they'd filmed someone playing with figurines of two and even have the hands in the shot. Like, going, like that.
Go for the Godzilla route where they're just like two dudes in suits, like just like slapping each other.
That would be amazing comparatively. Like, that would be at least something. It wouldn't be these two blobulous nothings.
The interest, like the two dragon. So basically, what happens, right? Long story short, is the hero champions of Earth. They get to the final Mortal Kombat, and it's Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn. They do their animalities, which is effectively two dragons. Bad CGI, like we're talking about, but there's no because it's so muddy and the graphics are so bad. There were times when I couldn't really tell what was happening, like where one ended and one began. It was a bit like, to use a recent reference, I don't know if you've seen Shazam, the first one, when the two all the like smoke monsters at the end are just kind of like fighting and they kind of blend and you're like, what is happening? This is terrifying. It was awful. Shazam actually from New Line Cinema as well.
They have a bad history with fucking like gargoyle people or dragon things.
Close the circle. Yeah. We joke about PS3 cutscenes on this podcast, but this was genuinely like a PS1 cutscene.
Oh man, I've seen better effects in fucking F-Zero, the racing game that was on Super Nintendo.
And then effectively what happens in this is old mate Liu Kang wins the Mortal Kombat, and for some reason Raiden's father does. Do you remember? Do you ever watch Dune from 1984, like the original one?
Love Dune, yeah.
The original one. You know how they've got the big box suits, and it's very like, it's like very Transformers. He's for some reason goes into one of them and folds up. What was happening there?
I have no idea. Like by that point, I'd kind of checked out. I was befuddled.
Yes. I make a joke on the Superior Cinephiles podcast that the best way to watch Thor: Love and Thunder is scrolling on your phone, or, as I was at the time, just playing on your Switch, like not really watching the film. And that's probably the best way to watch this, or just don't. You know, like, you don't have to.
Yeah, the best way to watch Thor 4 is to not.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Or this, or Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Like, seriously, like, you really don't have to. And do not pay for it if you can.
If you can get around it. It's not worth paying for, no.
And I don't make money out of this, so I do not have this as a tax write-off. So that will always be on my record, and I am very happy about that fact.
It's going to mess up your algorithm.
Let's move on then. What we do now is we talk a little bit about tones and themes. Not that there really are any in this movie. Before we're moving on to 3 best and 3 worst. Do you know any tones or themes in this movie? There's like the power of the human spirit, like that cliche is sort of thrown around a lot.
You know, finding your animal self and then fucking up someone else's Hydra. I don't know. I think probably the line with that Raiden says to Jax about, all you need is self-confidence, believe in yourself, and then you'll defeat your enemies, which is, you know, good advice. Believing in yourself's great advice. It's the ultimate quest, isn't it? You know, the mastering of spirit, but not for robo-arms.
Oh, yeah, he rips them off. That's terrible. Could this be the mad imagination of a crazy person who's lying on like a psychotherapist's table or chair, and he's explaining his craziness, and the psychotherapist just stood there going, believe in yourself. You can do this. Do you think that's what this could be? It's the craziness of a person's mind.
It's a better explanation than I think they're trying to give you. Also,
they paid $30 million to create this movie.
Is in the game, is Jax, does he, the arms like...
Just has metal arms.
He just has metal arms, but they're not like, underneath he doesn't have normal arms.
I actually don't know. That's a very good question. Because like he just like tears them off and they're literally plastic in this. Like...
It's basically like, you know, a portion of the rubber Batman suit but painted silver. I just mean because in the 2021 version, Jax got his arms torn off in a fight, or they got frozen or something and then shattered.
Yeah,
and he
you're right.
Was given robot arms when he went to the temple. So is that's what it is in the game? Or?
But weren't they little spindly arms to begin with, and his chi was
that's right. His was it chi? You
can't see, listeners, but I'm waving my arms wildly like I know what punching is.
It actually looked like you were taking 2 penises at once, is what it looked like.
Each their own, Regs. Don't give me any of that.
And yeah, fill your boots, mate. Like it's Thursday night. Enjoy yourself.
Right. What were your 3 best and 3 worst for this film?
Okay,
I really struggled for best.
Here. This is me. I will say though, I mean, we're giving this thing a hard time. In separate interviews, both creators, Ed Boon and John Tobias, said they hated this film so much and they consider it to be the worst experience they had through the many years they spent working on Mortal Kombat. So it's not just us, it's these dudes as well.
I mean, like, if the creators hate it, then we're allowed to hate it too.
Exactly. And this was my favorite piece of trivia I read about this. If you add up all the flips that happen in this movie, there's 54 flips.
54 flips?
That's a lot of flips. That's one every 2 minutes.
I've got my hand up because I have a question.
Okay.
Who could be asked going through and counting the amount of flips and didn't count how many times James Remar was kicked through a wall? God damn it!
You didn't do the reading, for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
Right? We want to Remar through the wall and the flips.
Come on, give me your 3 best and 3 worst.
3 best. The 3 best. Number 1, it's short. Number 2, if you're a fan of the game, everyone's here. Like everyone you want to see is here.
I had that. It's literally everyone.
Yeah, and the Sub-Zero Scorpion fight is it'll be okay.
It's a thing.
The 3 worst, the effects.
Oh yeah, CGI is a big one.
Is just the effects, and the acting are just horrible. The fucking mud fight, which is, you know, one of the most egregious things I've ever seen happen in a movie ever. And the fact that this is like technically a movie in the same way that Raging Bull is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you went to a video store, if they still existed, and you went to,
you would see it.
You would see it. You would walk past the action section and then go to classics, and they would be on the same shelf.
Well, it's ironic that you can't find this on streaming. You have to like search and pay for it. So technically, maybe not. Maybe the world is trying to get rid of it. Yeah, maybe it's not a movie anymore. My three best were pretty much the same. I liked Liu Kang in this. I thought he was great. I liked that they at least tried to do things for the fans, like have the all of the costumes looking. They basically looked like they'd been to like a second-hand Salvos for, I don't know, gym gear. But yeah, you know, like at least they tried. And the schlockiness. I love a schlocky dumb film. Like I bloody love it. And you know, sometimes they're just bad, and you just have to deal with that.
Yeah.
The worst were, you said, the CGI and the acting. I mean, you know, two of the biggest parts of the entire film. Those things, most of the make of the film. And I've got a third one that's a bit out of left field, but you were just being slightly racist. Jax's random racism. Did you see that in this film? There is like a random line in this. I've lost it. I wrote it down somewhere, and he just sort of goes like, it's the main characters and Raiden's there, and he goes, "We shouldn't trust anyone who's not from Earth." And Raiden's just kind of standing there, and I'm like, "Holy shit, dude! Like, he's right there."
And especially like the African American character saying that. Like,
I was
dude,
like,
this is sounding hauntingly similar. You know?
Yeah. I was like, you're learning the wrong lessons here, dude.
You're learning the wrong lessons from Mortal Kombat.
From Mortal Kombat, yeah.
Final round. Fight.
What we do now, guys, is we have a completely binary system. For rating movies, it's not 2 Jack's arms out of 2. It isn't how many versions of Johnny Cage are in this movie. It is simply, is this movie better or worse than the most average movie we know, which you know, Regs, is Aquaman 2018. We've been talking about it already today. We've been talking about Aquaman. Let's bring it back to Aquaman. Tell me, is this better or worse, and why?
Well, I think you might have to adjust this rating system when The Lost Kingdom comes out, and that might be
that's a good point.
Most average movie.
If anything is, I think that's going to be worse personally. But if anything ever comes out and it is more average than Aquaman, we're happy to take it on.
All right, we'll just hit up Tommy in the comments there. No, it's not as good as Aquaman. Aquaman actually, like, it seems like the people who made it gave a shit.
They tried
about it, even though it was, you know, a marketable IP based thing. Momoa's game and James Wan's game. No one in this knows who they're supposed to be looking at or what they're doing, or I don't even know if anyone had a script. Like, it is completely soulless.
I completely agree. It's definitely worse than Aquaman 2018. I just couldn't. Like, I kept trying to watch it and enjoy things I enjoyed about the first one or things I enjoy about the games, and it just made me like cringe every time I tried to watch. I was like, oh no, this isn't good. Before we wrap up, then, resident of the pod, Mr. Reeks Wood, tell me then, are you happy for a little bit of true or false trivia?
I can't wait.
Beautiful. You've already got some trivia, so I'm a bit concerned you know all this anyway, but true or false?
I was just scrolling on IMDb because I couldn't fucking watch this movie. I was trying to do anything else.
Pretty much all of the trivia is from IMDb. So, you know, who knows if it's actually worth a shit. Probably not.
Yeah.
But there was actually a third Mortal Kombat movie in development. Is that true or is that false?
That's true, and Christopher Lambert was supposed to return.
That's correct. So was Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, and also so was Quan Chi. So that could have been an interesting movie. I would have been interested to see what they could have done there. Like, why would they have brought back these characters? Could they have had like face-offs like you could in the game? So, for example, you could have like I don't know, Raiden versus Raiden, for example. You could have easily had James Remar, you know, taking on the Highlander.
Fight.
That would have
like
been interesting.
Fucking Spider-Verse.
Yeah, well, exactly. But isn't that the point of Mortal Kombat? You can fight people against each other.
Yeah.
Apparently, plans fell through when a lot of the sets were destroyed in Hurricane Katrina, and why would they want to recreate them? Let's be honest.
I'm just I mean, maybe that was the universe telling them something.
So here's a true or false trivia, Regs. Bridget Wilson Sampras. Do you reckon it's Sampras as in like Pete Sampras's wife?
The tennis player?
Anyway, apparently Bridget was offered to reprise her role as Sonya Blade, but turned it down. Is that true, or is that false?
She is married to Pete Sampras, by the way, if it's the one from the first film.
Yes.
Yeah. And enjoy yourself. Like some sort of ball joke. I don't know. I couldn't think of one.
Ball or bald?
Balls, as in ball boy tennis. I couldn't get
something.
there.
There's something there. We're a bit slow. It's late here.
Yeah.
We're old, we're grouchy, and it's late. We're basically those two guys from the Muppets who were like, "Boo!"
Oh, Slatter and Waldorf.
Get off the stage.
Yeah, no, they're all good. They're just not all for you. That's my staple when someone doesn't laugh at one of my jokes. Yeah, no, that's true. She was asked to come back, but she was too busy being a ball girl. Fuck off.
She was terrible. She was too busy with a new role as Sarah Michelle Gellar's sister in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Shut the front door.
You're going to see a theme here. Lyndon Ashby was also asked to return as Johnny Cage, but turned down the role after reading the script. Is that true or is that false?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
You've already answered this in the episode, and you've already answered why. It's because he was just doing too much cocaine.
He would have cocaine.
And finally, trivia true or false. Paul W.S. Anderson was offered to return to the film, but chose not to return. I'm kidding.
Yes, unfortunately, he didn't return. He went on to do. No, it's not unfortunate. It's fortunate because then he made Event Horizon, which is basically a Hellraiser movie without Hellraiser in it, without Cenobites.
Such a terrified me as a young child, so much so that I refused to go back and watch it. But there's a theme there of people seeing the script and going, "Oh, I don't know if I
don't know about that.
Don't even fancy that." But
yeah.
Friend of the show, Regs, it has been bloody wonderful having you on. Thank you so much for sitting through this for me. Thank you for indulging me in this for SEO purposes, a thing you didn't know what that was until I told you.
That's totally fine. Again, that's a little bit above my pay grade. I don't think about that stuff. But
not at all.
I'm happy to be here. I'll come and I'll do Event Horizon if you want. Fuck, you tell me what to watch. Tell me what to watch and I'll watch it.
Brilliant.
Finish him.
Well, why don't you plug everything, Regs, before we finish up? There's so much cool stuff that I want people to know about. And then where can they find you? Where can they find all of your cool artsy materials? Where can they find your podcast? Tell us everything.
My goodness. Okay. Yes. Well, I have a show called The Stitch Up with Regs, which is a video show. It's on YouTube. I haven't done an episode in quite some time because I'm busy on the Film Addicts podcast
being a legend
with my bro Addy. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Amazon Music and all that stuff. Come check us out. It's just two dudes who like talking about movies, making silly jokes, and having a good time.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
where have I heard that before?
Well, it opened up I've been on quite a few other podcasts that do the same thing, and it's fantastic. There will be a new episode of The Stitch Up coming out in October for Halloween. We're going to be talking about The Craft with my friend Michelle from the Sequel Suck podcast.
Nice.
And also, if you want to check out stuff that I do for Hit 66 Sound and Screen, which is my production company, got some really cool stuff coming out at the moment. Just did a big promotional trailer for a theatre production of Hamlet, which is really, really cool.
Nice.
Had a good time on that one. And we've got some big stuff coming out of the studio that we own, Table Sound Studios. We're going to be doing some live videos from there over the summer. So come peep us.
Nice. Go find Regs on Instagram. Go find him on Spotify. He's everywhere. Literally, he is everywhere. Really fantastic to have you on the show, mate. Thank you so much. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. I don't know this bit because Dre usually does this, and as much as I make fun of him, it's actually pretty tough to do. He gets a good podcast voice for this. And a big thank you, as always, to Mr. Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. We bloody appreciate you, mate. Thanks for bringing it back around. If you'd like to hire someone to edit your podcast, head to matthewbliss.net and book a consultation today. If you, I don't know why I got so excited about that.
I love it.
We're both really very excited. I'm gonna put on my best acting voice for this. If you want to hear his work and listen to From My Home to Yours, it's an expat repat podcast where Matt and his wife share their experiences and advice of moving from Ireland to Australia. To Ireland from Australia. I knew I got that one way around. Or anywhere, to be quite frank with you. It's really wholesome. It's a beautiful podcast. He's a really great guy. We've plugged too many podcasts today, so you won't have any time to work or think or sleep. You just podcast all day. But hit up Mr. Matthew Bliss and check out Regs everywhere he's at. Thank you so much for joining us, Riggs. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Tally ho, baby!
I like the baby added at the end there. That's
all I got. That's literally every ounce of energy.